Good morning, welcome back. My name is Abby, this is Hive and Harvest, and we are back in my kitchen today. This is going to be the third video of me clearing out my freezer. I'm hoping that I only need to do like maybe two or three more of these, but I wasn't planning on filming. I was planning on just showing you guys on my Instagrams, but I figured I would show a couple of the things that I'm doing. So I made my high quality list here. So my plan for today, I'm making 3 different types of bread. So I'm making pumpkin bread, banana bread, and lemon poppy seed bread. And I am planning to freeze some of it, which might sound silly because I'm trying to clear out my freezers. But for our family, it's much more likely that one of us is going to pull out a product that is already made for us to then just thaw and eat versus an ingredient that needs something done with it. So I'm doing pumpkin bread, lemon poppy seed bread, and banana bread. And I will freeze all but probably one of those. And then the fourth thing that I'm doing is I'm finally going to be doing my raspberry jam. I'm going to try and make a little tiny batch of lemon chung, I think is what it's called, where you basically, it's like a lemon syrup that you make out of zest and sugar. So I'm going to try that. And then the biggest thing that I'm probably going to make is more bone broth. Our bone broth in the freezer is running low. My sister has been drinking it almost every morning. So I have my beef bones here. I'm heating up the oven to 400 and I'm going to roast these bones. All I'm going to do is drizzle them with a little bit of olive oil because I realized last time that I put too much flavoring in them early on when I really should have waited till the end to taste it and then adjust things to taste. So I am going to just drizzle some olive oil on, roast them. These are some chicken bone scraps that typically they say that you don't need to roast them. So I may throw them on here if there's extra room, but I also don't want to char them. The only things that I'm going to film today are me making the broth and the raspberry jam. The breads, I will link the recipes that I use down below, but I kind of want to stay focused and not be filming all day. I would rather just be baking in the kitchen. So I will show you the process of doing the beef bones and the process of doing the raspberry jam because they should be pretty simple. And I'm pretty sure, if I'm not mistaken, this is my first canning batch of the year, which I know that they're not from my garden, the raspberries, but I have not pulled out my canner since before Christmas, since long before Christmas. So that's very exciting. And we will just get into it. So I have here my lemon chung, or however you say it. So what I did was I just put equal weight of lemon zest and sugar together. Then I'm going to let it sit in my fridge for a bit and like a couple of days or a week. And it should make a nice syrup, I've heard. So we'll see how this works. Over the course of a couple months, we try to save our vegetable scraps when we think about it. So there's a lot in here. This, I believe, is like maybe it's, I think 28 quarts, maybe 30, I don't know. So there's a lot of veggie scraps in here, which before we made bone broth, I would just save the scraps and make veggie broth, which still tastes fine. It just doesn't have as many health benefits. So I have the veggie scraps in here. I'm going to dump these chicken bones in there, and then these are almost done roasting, that I will put them in there and just cover it all up with water and let it simmer for around 24 hours. Got my bones out. They're not super toasty, but the middle is kind of falling apart, which is sort of what you want. That is all collagen in there, or marrow, not collagen. And so I'm just going to transfer these into the pot. And the only thing other than the scraps and the bones that I'm adding is a couple bay leaves. I will do all of my other seasoning at the end once it is completely done. Just wanted to give you guys a little update here. So the broth is definitely going good. It smells incredible. And right now I am going through and taking out all the seeds from the raspberries. If you want to watch me do this, you can watch my previous video all about fruit leather. I'm not going to film this because it's the same process. And then I'm going to use Pomona's pectin for the first time. I've never used it, but that's where I'm at so far. It is a couple days later. I am here in my kitchen. It's almost 11 o'clock at night, but I wanted to update you guys on a few things. So number one, pumpkin bread did not turn out as planned. It did not cook all the way through the middle. My mom thought it was, so she pulled it out, and then it deflated, and then I tried to put it in for longer to let it cook, and it just got really rubbery. Both of them did that, both the freeze-dried and the fresh ingredients. So then I added some more flour to the second batch, and it happened less, like she cooked it for much longer. It didn't like deflate, but it's still a little bit rubbery, dense in the middle. So I don't know what really happened. I prefer the flavor of the freeze-dried one, but Sam preferred the flavor of the fresh one. So that is that. I am standing here with my bone broth. I simmered it for probably like 12 to 14 hours. I like simmered it for like 8 hours and then turned it off overnight, but left it sitting on the stove. So in the morning, it was still like very hot to the touch. And then I turned it back on in the morning, let it simmer for another like 3 to 4 hours, turned it off again, and I just now am getting around to bottling it up. I used to store my vegetable broth in jars, but there are a couple drawbacks. Number one, the jars have the chance of cracking. That never happened with mine, but it can happen. Number two, which is the bigger thing, is you can't just run it under hot water because that will crack the jars. And these, you can just run under hot water and dump it out and it will immediately fall out. But if it's in a jar that has like a smaller opening, you have to wait for it all to thaw out or it won't do that. So I have my containers here. I have, let's see, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I have 13 quarts of bone broth. And as I was pulling the bone broth out, I was looking at the bones and they are still completely intact. So I'm actually doing another batch. I strained it all to put the broth in these containers, and then I put all the bones and the vegetables back in there, and I loaded it back up with water. So this is going to go overnight, and sometime tomorrow I will come and take care of it and put the rest of it away. I would pressure can it, but I have not ever pressure canned anything. I've heard that bone broth and beans are like the easiest things to pressure can. So I would like to get there, but I think I'm going to try chickpeas first, and I need to borrow a friend's pressure canner before I do that. So for now, we have the space in our freezer, in our chest freezer, and I'm going to put these in there. The thing that I've realized about the series of like trying to clear out my freezer is most of the time I'm not clearing out my freezer completely. I'm taking ingredients out of my freezer and then making them into something else that most of the time goes back into the freezer that then can be put into something else. So this is one of those things. Now, we can just use this, like my sister will pull out like one of these a week and drink a little bit because it's really high in protein. And it has like a bunch of other really great benefits. But this is also really easy to just dump in. It can make a great soup base. I am most likely going to I'm probably gonna put the rest of these into these big half-gallon containers that I have. They're like old ice cream containers, because in a couple weeks when we get our Azure order, I'm going to be doing a huge cooking day where I'm doing chili, like regular chili, butternut squash chili, and vegetable soup. So I will keep out some of this bone broth for that, and that will also use up some of the tomato water juice stuff that we have in that pantry right there, and some other ingredients, but I will show you guys that video when we come to it. So we have these here. I am going to put them out in the freezer because it is late, and I'm going to do the raspberry jam tomorrow. I thought this video was going to be over one day, maybe two. It's been about a week in total, but I have my raspberry puree here. I am not going to tell you guys my whole recipe. I'm just using the recipe on the Pomona pectin paper because it works differently than the other types of pectin. So I'm going to do that, and I will show you guys once I'm done with that. I also wanted to show you my broth that I finished because I'm going to be doing a big cooking day. I put them into half-gallon jars. So in addition to however many quarts it was, I also got 3.5 gallons. So there are 7 of these half-gallon ice cream jars or containers in here. So that's doing very good. And hopefully once we get our Azure order in, we will be able to do a big cooking day, and I will show you guys that when we get to it. But I'm going to do my jam now. I just stirred in my calcium water, and I have this on high. All it says is bring to a full boil. So I'm going to bring this to a full boil. It doesn't say a specific temperature, but I'm trying to do this fast. So I have it on high. I'm gonna mix together my actual pectin and sugar, and we will be on the road. We've got our jams in here. I ended up with 5 half pints of jam, and then I'm doing 3 quarts of water. Here we have the finished jam. I was able to get 5 half pint jars plus a little bit extra that just went into the fridge, and then I was able to do 3 quarts of water like I showed you guys. And I believe that is it for this video. I am really excited for my next freezer clean out video because I'm going to be making a lot of meals. We are getting a big Azure order on Tuesday, so I'm excited to show you guys what that has in it. That will probably be its own video, but thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in my next video. Have a great day. Bye.